as the educator here, to have out. I don't have a way of saying, well, this is what I really meant and it did this, and that. It either works or it doesn't, right? And yeah, that's the litmus test. It either works or it doesn't. It either holds up, it stands the test of time, or it doesn't. How can you prove that to yourself, to trust it? That's the important factor, and this is the part that most traders, when they're developing themselves, they rush through this. And this is such an essential part that I can't stress it enough. And I've done it a lot in lectures and teachings and all of my mentor videos, is focused on slowing you down in the initial stages, because you're too quick to run out there and try to make money. And you don't know what you're supposed to know. You don't even know what it is that you should know and what you should avoid doing. And I'm going to cover a little bit of that today. Also, how to organize your charts. And then I'm going to show you what you need to be doing as homework for the rest of the day, because we're only going to be here till around 9 o'clock. Hopefully. That's my plan, at least, right? So that way you can go in and start looking for very specific things that your eye will jump to initially. Doesn't mean that that's going to be your model. Doesn't mean that's going to be your entry technique that you live by and make all your money from. It just means that that's your first one. And it's an invitation for your personal interest, what you gravitate to initially, wherever you are in your development as a trader and what you've been accustomed to seeing from my content. I have to allow that part. You have to give yourself permission to have that part as well. Because if I force you into, we're only going to use breakers, we're only going to use order blocks, we're only going to use fair value gaps, it's going to alienate a large segment of you, and you will be left behind in your development. And that's not proper learning. That's not a hallmark or a signature of a good teacher. So I have to make allowance for you to bring your own personality to this. And you're going to see the benefits of that, because for some of you, you've been trying to lock yourself into one-trick pony ICT concepts, because either I've done a video or I've done a trade or I've recorded something or I said something that really resonated with you, and you think because it sounded cool, you want to be tactical in your trading instead of technically linked to your personality. It is going to be easier for you to see how you've held yourself back by trying to force yourself into a mode that nobody asked you to do. The proper learning is for you to come into this and say, okay, there's lots of things in this candy store I can have. Which one do I want to work with first? It doesn't mean it has to be my favorite, but I have to start somewhere. So I leave that up to you. And it'll make much more sense when we get into the charts and the technical aspects. But initially, I want to give you the protocol that you go through every single day when you sit down in front of the charts, whether you're doing it live, or if it's after the fact and you come home from university, come home from school, if you wake up and now you're going to have time to do it, you haven't made the changes in your life to allow yourself to actually be in front of the charts there live, or you're working. Let's just be real, okay? You may not be able to do what we're doing right here live, and maybe you can't see me doing live streams when I'm doing them and having the benefit of borrowing my experience. So what do you do with that information? How do you journal? How do you log what it is that you should be observing and studying each day, and then referring back to that same information on an individual day-by-day basis on the weekend, whether it be a Saturday or a Sunday? When I used to do Twitter Spaces, I would talk about how this is our day to kind of like ground ourselves. The markets are not trading unless you trade crypto and you're an idiot and you think that that's going to be real money in the future. All those things, but aside, that is the day where we rest. We don't try to trade. We don't try to formulate any kind of hardline ideas. We go back and refer to what decisions we made, what actions we took, and or actions that we should have but didn't, and identify opportunities that we weren't able to see then, and then encourage ourselves through journaling, saying, these are the things I did right, and these are new opportunities for me to investigate and look into, because this was something I didn't have the pleasure or the luxury of understanding or identifying at the time. You see what I did there? I took something that every one of us is going to have happen to us. Okay, there's a opportunity for us to see what we could have done better. Now, if you're on social media or you invite other people, usually people that are an idiot, they don't know how to trade, they're toxic, they work at Jiffy Lube, they ain't got a raise, and they're probably on the verge of getting fired. You're going to listen to those individuals give you insight or opinions in your comment section, or they're going to comment to you in a live chat via someone else's live stream. If you make yourself available, okay, toxic people are going to give you their opinion unsolicited, and they're idiots. You don't want to listen to an idiot. The village idiot mentality is in every segment, in every community of trading. There's a whole bunch of them. There's a whole tribe of them, okay? And you should not care what anybody else thinks. And if someone takes the time to congratulate you or say, well done, you need to dismiss that as well, because you're not trying to fuel ego. You're not trying to allow anyone to influence you negatively either. But that same element needs to occur in your journaling, which means you have to filter out all of the toxicity that you're invariably going to reach into and say, I didn't do that right. That was stupid of me. I should have saw that so-and-so forming in the chart. Or I saw it, but I ignored it because I wanted to be right. And then you feel compelled to, you think journaling is a beat-up session. Like you're giving yourself an ass chilling. You're not trying to parent yourself. You're not trying to be dad. You're not trying to be mom, overbearing, correcting you and punishing you. What you're trying to be is the best coach for someone that you love. If you're trying to coach someone that you genuinely love and you don't want to break the spirit of, and you want to encourage that person, you should love yourself just as much as you love your spouse or your children. You have to have some measure of respect for yourself. And tearing yourself a new ass in a journal is not going to help you get better. You're not trying to play a drill sergeant. We mentioned this yesterday as an analogy. When you go through boot camp, they're tearing these individuals down mentally and physically and to the breaking point. And then they're shaping them up into a sword. Okay? You're going to be a Marine. You're going to be a machine. You're going to be a soldier of fortune. You're going to go out there and rip people's hearts out and eat it before they die. They're trying to turn them into an animal for war purposes. That's not what you're doing in a journal, okay? You're not trying to mutate yourself into some crazy Wolverine. You're literally coaching yourself, and you're encouraging yourself. In any opportunity where someone else could, and yourself as well, could take something out of context and say, this is a perfect opportunity for me to dump on myself and spend too much time dwelling on a negative thought or a negative reaction or an inability to respond or react to an opportunity and frame it and encapsulate it with toxicity. You don't want to do those things in your journal. Now, for people that are idiots, they're going to say, well, you're just sugarcoating it, okay, and it's a waste of time. Journaling is a waste of time. I promise you, these people are not making money. These people do not have a trade. They're not consistent, and they're just absolutely miserable cretins. You need to keep all that junk and filth out of your mind, out of your circle of influence. That's why social media is a cancer. This is my only mode of social media. I am not on Instagram. I'm not active on Twitter. I am not doing anything else. I'm not in a Discord. I'm not running any kind of social media where people can engage with me. Hey, how you doing? That's not how that works. My private mentorship, we have a space, okay? We have a space where we communicate. When I want to make something available to them, I talk to them. That's it. And it's at my time. It's at I don't schedule anything. It's just when you see me, I appear, and that's it. Outside of YouTube, this very YouTube channel, there's no other ICT experience. And when I mentioned that I was never going to do a paid mentorship, I had people leaving comments yesterday saying, you said you was never going to do a mentorship. Right, for money. I'm not asking for payments. You're not sending me any money here. You're watching because you want to watch or you don't want to watch. So you have to manage a lot of people's personalities if you allow them to have any interaction with you. So the best thing you can do, if you're really going to make an attempt to do it well, is what I told my son. I allowed him to be amongst my private mentorship students. He's among them right now. But I've also told him, don't talk to any of them. And don't think that it's rude. Don't think that you're trying to be pompous or arrogant, because these individuals are going to try to warm up to you. And I have leakers in my groups. They're there, okay? So I told him, don't even listen to it. They're going to blow smoke up your ass. They're going to try to befriend you. They're going to say whatever they want. Or some of them might take a shot and say, hey, look, your dad's not on the leaderboard of Robins Cup. He's a fraud. And what are you going to say about that? Well, they won't have the balls to do that because they don't get outgrown around the mentorship. But the point is this. Don't allow toxic people or anyone to fluff you up. And you need to do the same thing in your journal. It doesn't mean you can't congratulate yourself and cheerlead yourself when you do it right. Just don't lay it on thick where you think you're, the bee's knees, if you will. Meaning that you're really a hot shot or better than you really are. So you have to be very, very balanced. But you're leaning heavily on coaching, encouraging. Yeah, you may have not observed a specific function in price delivery. And it just happened to be probably the biggest run of the day. And you, in your infancy and your understanding, you don't see those things forming yet because you haven't had an experience doing these very things I'm going to show you today. And then studying it and looking at old price moves. This is exactly what you need and must do. You will not be consistent. You will not be consistently profitable. You will not be comfortable waiting for setups until you've done this part. Now, I'm forcing Caleb to do this for a month because I want to see that, number one, he can stick to the process of doing it over and over again. I don't want to receive texts from him saying what he thinks is going to happen. I don't care about his opinion, and it's not appropriate for him to have that understanding yet anyway. He thinks that he should. He thinks that that's going to be a measuring stick so dad can feel like, okay, my son's doing his part. No, I'm going to know you're doing your part by what